Here's a wild fact. There are few countries in Europe where you can ski in the Alps in the morning, explore underground caves by afternoon, and swim in the Adriatic Sea before sunset, all in the same day. Tiny, often overlooked, and nearly impossible for many to spot on a map, yet Slovenia has been ranked the world's most sustainable country. Add to that a culture where beekeeping borders on a national passion, and you've got Europe's best-kept secret, a nation that delivers far more than its size suggests. This is Slovenia, one of Europe's most underrated treasures. Slovenia sits at the crossroads of Central Europe, the Mediterranean, and the Balkans. It is tucked between Italy to the west, Austria to the north, Hungary to the northeast, and Croatia wrapping around the south and east. At just 20,273 square kilometers, that's about the size of New Jersey or half the size of Switzerland, Slovenia might be tiny, but this pocket-sized nation somehow managed to squeeze in a piece of the Alps, a chunk of the Mediterranean coastline, extensive cave systems, and part of the Pannonian Plain. It's like someone took samples from 4 different European countries and mashed them into one. The country has just 46 kilometers of coastline. That's shorter than most people's daily commute, but Slovenians will proudly tell you they're a maritime nation. And honestly, when your tiny coastline includes medieval Venetian towns and some of the cleanest waters in the Mediterranean, you've earned the bragging rights. Here's a fun comparison. Slovenia is smaller than Wales, smaller than Massachusetts, and about the same size as Israel. But don't let that fool you. This little country packs more natural beauty per square kilometer than almost anywhere else in Europe. Slovenia is dominated by the Julian Alps in the northwest, where Mount Triglav, Slovenia's highest peak, stands at 2,864 meters, or about 9,400 feet. Triglav is so important to Slovenian identity that it's literally on their flag and coat of arms. There's even a tradition that says you're not a true Slovenian until you've climbed it at least once. Moving south and east, you'll find the Karst Plateau, a limestone region famous for its caves. Slovenia has over 10,000 documented caves, including Postojna Cave, one of the largest and most visited cave systems in Europe. The word karst itself comes from the Slovenian word kras, which is the name of this region. So basically, Slovenia named an entire geological phenomenon. Then you've got the Pannonian Plains in the east, which are flatter and more agricultural. And that tiny sliver of coastline, that's where you'll find Mediterranean vibes, Venetian architecture, and some seriously good seafood. Climate-wise, Slovenia is a mixed bag. The coastal area enjoys a Mediterranean climate with hot, dry summers and mild winters. The interior and mountains have a continental climate, cold, snowy winters perfect for skiing, and warm summers. The Alps can get absolutely dumped on with snow, making Slovenia a winter sports paradise. Here's a weather record for you. The town of Rateče once recorded a temperature of minus 34.5 degrees Celsius, that's minus 30 Fahrenheit, back in 1956. Meanwhile, the coastal town of Portorož can hit 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit in summer. Talk about extremes. About 60% of Slovenia is covered in forest, making it one of the most forested countries in Europe. When you're driving through, you'll spend more time looking at trees than towns. Slovenia has a population of about 2.1 million people. That's less than the city of Houston, Texas, or about the same as the entire country of Slovenia could fit into Brooklyn with room to spare. Population density? Around 103 people per square kilometer, which is pretty moderate. It's not crowded like the Netherlands, but it's not empty like Finland either. The capital and largest city is Ljubljana, with a population of around 295,000 in the city proper. That makes it one of Europe's smallest capital cities. You could walk across the Old Town in about 15 minutes. Despite its size, Ljubljana was named European Green Capital in 2016 and consistently ranks as one of the most livable cities in the world. Other significant cities include Maribor in the northeast, about 95,000 people, and the coastal gem Koper, around 25,000. Ethnically, Slovenia is pretty homogeneous. About 83% of the population identifies as Slovene, with small minorities of Serbs, Croats, Bosniaks, and others, many of whom arrived during the Yugoslav era. Life expectancy is impressive, around 81 years on average, which is right up there with most Western European countries. Healthcare is universal and generally excellent. Here's something interesting. Slovenia has one of the lowest birth rates in Europe, sitting at about 1.5 children per woman. Like many European countries, the population is aging. However, immigration and improved healthcare are helping to stabilize the situation. The country is also highly educated. Over 90% of the population has completed at least secondary education, and literacy is nearly universal. For such a small country, Slovenia has a surprisingly robust economy. The total GDP sits at around $72 billion. That's roughly the same size as the economies of Ecuador or Kenya, ranking Slovenia around 88th in the world. Now, before you think that sounds unimpressive, remember we're talking about a country with only 2 million people. When you look at GDP per capita, which is around 34,000 US dollars, Slovenia ranks around 36th globally, similar to Spain or Israel. That places it firmly in the developed world category and makes it one of the wealthiest nations among former communist countries. Slovenia was the first post-communist country to adopt the euro back in 2007, and it's been part of the European Union since 2004. Manufacturing. Yes, Slovenia makes cars and car parts. Pharmaceuticals, electronics, and tourism, which has been booming in recent years. Companies like Gorenje, appliances, and Krka, pharmaceuticals, are Slovenian success stories. The cost of living? It's very reasonable compared to Western Europe. A one-bedroom apartment in Ljubljana city center might run you around 800 to 1,000 euros per month. A beer at a pub? About 3 euros. A nice dinner for two? Maybe 50 euros. Quality of life rankings consistently place Slovenia high. The country ranks well in safety, environmental quality, work-life balance, and social connections. Unemployment is low, hovering around 4 to 5%, and the healthcare system is accessible and affordable. Public transportation is efficient, and the country is one of the safest in the world. Crime rates are incredibly low. Slovenian culture is a fascinating blend of Slavic, Germanic, and Mediterranean influences. The official language is Slovene, a South Slavic language that's surprisingly complex. It's one of the few languages in the world that still has a dual grammatical number, meaning there's a special form for talking about exactly two of something. Slovene is also incredibly diverse dialectically. People from different regions can sometimes struggle to understand each other. Most Slovenians also speak at least one other language, usually English, German, or Italian. The education system emphasizes multilingualism, so you'll rarely have trouble communicating as a tourist. Wine culture is massive. Slovenia produces excellent wines, especially whites like Rebula and Malvasia from the coastal region. There are more than 28,000 wineries in the country. That's about one winery for every 75 people. And then there's beekeeping. Slovenia is obsessed with bees. It's home to the native Carniolan honeybee, and beekeeping is deeply woven into national identity. The country even pushed for World Bee Day to be recognized by the UN, and it was, celebrated every May 20th. Slovenians value nature, family, and a relaxed pace of life. They love hiking, skiing, and spending time outdoors. There's a strong sense of community, and people tend to be warm and welcoming once you break the ice. Slovenia has a town called Bled, which is home to one of the most photographed lakes in Europe, Lake Bled, with a tiny island in the middle featuring a picturesque church. Legend says that if a groom can carry his bride up the 99 steps to the church without stopping, they'll have a happy marriage. No pressure. The country also has the world's oldest vine. In the city of Maribor, there's a grapevine that's over 400 years old and still produces wine every year. It survived wars, diseases, and everything history threw at it. Slovenia has some bizarre border quirks too. There's a tiny piece of land called the disputed territory between Slovenia and Croatia that's been contested since both countries became independent. It's literally just a few square kilometers of land and sea, but it's been a diplomatic headache for decades. And if you're into underground adventures, Slovenia has a cave with its own post office. Postojna Cave has been issuing mail from inside the cave since 1899. You can literally mail a postcard from the depths of the earth. Slovenia is a parliamentary republic. The president is the head of state, mostly a ceremonial role, while the prime minister is the head of government and holds most of the executive power. The country has a multi-party system, and politics can be pretty lively. Governments tend to be coalitions, which means a lot of negotiation and compromise. Slovenia is a member of the European Union, NATO, the United Nations, and the OECD. It's also part of the Schengen area, meaning there are no border controls with neighboring EU countries. One of the most interesting political moments in Slovenia's history was its independence from Yugoslavia in 1991. The 10-day war, yes, it only lasted 10 days, was remarkably short and relatively bloodless compared to the conflicts that erupted elsewhere in the former Yugoslavia. Slovenia declared independence. Yugoslavia sent in troops. Slovenia resisted, and within 10 days, it was over. Slovenia has been independent ever since. The country has a strong tradition of social democracy, with robust welfare systems, public healthcare, and education. It's politically stable, corruption is relatively low by global standards, and democratic institutions are solid.
Tourism in Slovenia has exploded in recent years, and for good reason. Lake Bled is the crown jewel, a glacial lake surrounded by mountains with that iconic island church and a medieval castle perched on a cliff. It's basically what people imagine when they think of fairy tales. Then there's Lake Bohinj, quieter and less touristy than Bled, but equally stunning. Postojna Cave and the nearby Predjama Castle, a Renaissance castle built into the mouth of a cave, are absolute must-sees. The castle looks like something out of a fantasy novel. Ljubljana, the capital, is charming and walkable, with a beautiful old town, a hilltop castle, and a dragon bridge. Dragons are a big deal in Ljubljana lore. The coastal town of Piran is a gem. Narrow cobblestone streets, Venetian architecture, and gorgeous sunsets over the Adriatic. Triglav National Park offers some of the best hiking and outdoor activities in Europe. The park covers about 4% of Slovenia's total area and is a paradise for nature lovers. Slovenia sees around 6 million tourists annually. That's nearly 3 times its population, and honestly, it deserves more attention. The country offers incredible diversity. Alps, caves, lakes, coast, medieval towns, modern cities, all in one compact package. So, have you been to Slovenia, or is it on your bucket list now? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more geography and culture content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.